Hello and welcome to the Tomorrow News. Today we'll be focusing on March 31st, a date that connects us to some incredible individuals who change our world and the way we perceive it. Tomorrow is March 31st. We bid forward to this month with gratitude as it serves as a bridge between the cold but cozy winter and the season of new beginnings, spring. Seriously though, if you still haven't taken off your martinizzi, some people might think you're just lazy. This time, we will fill the day with meaning by paying a tribute to great individuals who one way or another are connected to March 31st. Let's begin by taking ourselves back to France at the end of the 16th century. There, on March 31st, 1596, in the small village of La Haye, one of the most influential figures in Western philosophy was born, René Descartes. You might know him as the man who coined the phrase cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. According to that logic, many people may not exist at all. But to truly understand the meaning behind it, we need to start from the very beginning. At that time, European philosophy and mode of thinking were heavily influenced by theology. Authors like Thomas Aquinas used Aristotelian wisdom, which held that all knowledge comes from empirical conclusions based on sensory information. According to him, body and soul are one and the same, and in order to understand the full truth, one must have faith in God. René Descartes opposed these claims by offering a new and modern way of thinking, a fresh perspective on how we view the world. Even as a child, Descartes showed a strong interest in the exact sciences. He became familiar with the work of his contemporary Galileo Galilei and became a fan of his revolutionary idea that the Earth was not the center of the universe. That sparked the thought on him that absolutely everything should be doubted, questioned, and examined. He even doubted his own existence, but he reached the conclusion that if he was able to doubt, then he must exist, because doubting requires thinking. This led him to utter his now famous phrase. Using this method of doubt, Descartes concluded that our senses can deceive us with optical illusions, magic tricks, or other examples. If our senses can be fooled, then they can be a reliable source of absolute truth, contrary to what Aristotle and Aquinas believed. Thus, Descartes became the first to form the idea of rationalism, the belief that the true knowledge comes from thought, not from experience. For instance, in Aristotelian empirism, if we touch fire and get burnt, we understand its dangers. But Descartes argued that even if we never touched fire before, we can logically deduce that it's not a good idea to put our hand in it. This shows us that knowledge stems from a logic deduction rather than personal experience. Naturally, this turned the entire European mindset upside down. At the time, the dominant Catholic Church banned the reading and distribution of Descartes' works. In his pursuit of absolute truth, Descartes even managed to prove the existence of God, writing, "In my mind, I have an idea of a perfect, infinite being. I am not perfect. I have a beginning and an end. Something cannot come from nothing, so this idea must have come from somewhere. Every effect has its cause. Since I am not perfect, this idea must have come from something that actually is perfect. Therefore, God exists, and so does absolute truth. Through all his methods, René Descartes laid the foundation for modern science. Today, scientists rely heavily on rational thinking, testing and doubting everything, until the truth is uncovered, just as Descartes described. That's why he remains one of the most influential and recognizable philosophers in history. I think, therefore I am. After diving into the story of one exceptionally brilliant man born on March 31st, let's stay in the same spirit and turn out our attention to another. Around 140 years after the birth of René Descartes, another monumental figure came into the world. One of the most important and influential composers of all time and a mentor to both Mozart and Beethoven, Franz Joseph Haydn. He was born in 1732 in a small village called Rohrau, located at the time on the border between Austria and Hungary. Haydn is often referred to as the father of the symphony, having composed more than 100 such musical works during his lifetime. There's even a legend that during a long journey he ran out of paper and began writing part of new symphony on a napkin. This alone speaks to his astonishing talent and ability to improvise. Haydn was also known for his sharp sense of humor, which often found its way into his music. For example, in Symphony No. 94, nicknamed The Surprise, the second movement begins softly like a lullaby, and then, suddenly, a loud chord breaks the piece. Haydn later explained that this was added specifically to wake up some of the audience members who might have dozed off. So, as we step into tomorrow, let's remember the great composer Franz Joseph Haydn, and let him be a reminder that no matter how brilliant someone is, it's always good not to take life too seriously and to add a little humor and playfulness to our daily lives. Now let's shift from music to the vast world of cinema. Tomorrow also marks the birthday of the Scottish actor Ewan McGregor. He is best known for his role as the character who always has the higher ground, Obi-Wan Kenobi, from the legendary Star Wars franchise.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
McGregor has also starred in films such as Trainspotting and Moulin Rouge, and he is even a recipient of the Order of the British Empire for his significant contributions to theatre, cinema, and numerous charitable causes. We'll wrap up our look at the upcoming March 31st with one more legendary figure born on this exact date, the iconic guitarist and frontman of the world-famous band AC/DC, Angus MacKinnon Young. Born on this day exactly 17 years ago, Angus is one of the pioneers of hard rock music. In 1973, together with his older brother Malcolm, he founded the now legendary band AC/DC. Although both were born in Scotland, they emigrated to Australia with their large family at a very young age. Their music isn't pretentious, quite the opposite. It speaks to the everyday struggles of the common person, spiced up with just the right amount of cheekiness. Their memorable hard rock riffs are impossible to forget and are a big part of what made their sound instantly recognizable around the world for over 50 years. There's hardly anyone on the planet who hasn't heard the iconic riffs from Highway to Hell, shouted "Thunder" in unison with the band, or seen Angus's famous schoolboy outfit. but the beginning wasn't easy. At the time, rock and especially hard rock music were harshly criticized by a society leaning towards Puritan values. Still, AC/DC managed to break through and capture the hearts of young people everywhere. And just when it seemed like they were on the peak of their success, a tragedy struck. Their charismatic frontman, Bon Scott, was found dead in his car. Faced with the difficult decision of whether to continue at all, the band chose to move forward and brought in a new lead singer, Brian Johnson. Instead of trying to imitate Bon, Johnson brought his own unique and powerful voice that fit AC/DC perfectly. Their very first album with him, Back in Black, became a massive hit and is now the second best-selling album of all time, surpassed only by Thriller by Michael Jackson. Through the years, AC/DC remained one of the most famous bands in the world, and even today continue to fill arenas across the globe. Legendary tracks like High Voltage, Highway to Hell, and TNT from the Bon Scott era stand strong alongside later hits like Back in Black and Thunderstruck with Brian Johnson on vocals. What's remarkable is that the band never abandoned their signature style. As Angus Young once put it, "I am sick to death of people saying we've made 11 albums that sound exactly the same. In fact, we've made 12 albums that sound exactly the same." This just goes to show that even with all the fame in the world, Angus remains a down-to-earth guy who never lost touch with who he is. So, after everything we look at today, let's take a moment to realize something. Even if tomorrow may seem like just another ordinary day, it could be the start of a brilliant idea, a massive success, or the birth of a legendary person. That's why you should always remember, tomorrow is a bright day.